Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am BorderWise and welcome to a video that I don't really do much and haven't really done before. This game, if you haven't realized already, is from the depths. And all this video really is me describing to you why you should play it. It's not really a review. For one thing, this game isn't really finished yet, but this game is simply, there's no other game like it. Like, that's basically all you can say about it. It is a voxel-based shipbuilding game, and honestly, if you're watching this video, there's a chance you probably already know what this is, but I'll explain it from the top anyway. Put simply, you can build anything. You can build ships, you can build aircraft, you can build submarines, you can build pretty much anything you can imagine. Hell, if you want to build, I don't know, a walrus with guns instead of tusks, you can. You can tell who would have done that before. So anyway, what you're looking at right now is a faction ship. There's, I forget how many factions there are. Hang on. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 factions in the game's main campaign and story, and you fight all of them. This is a deep-water guard ship, and it's being shredded by one of my designs. And not saying that my designs are particularly good, they're like, I tend to rely just on like huge amounts of gun, and that's it. Oh my goodness, that's loud. So in any case, so why would you play this? Well, for one thing, I can tell you why some people wouldn't play this, and that's because this game has a learning curve like a vertical brick wall. In its own way, it's much, much harder than games like Dark Souls. Because, while Dark Souls, the analogy goes, is beating your head against a brick wall, and after that brick wall's down, there's another brick wall for you to think about. This game is like chipping away at it, and learning how to chip away at the brick wall while you go at it. See, I have fond memories. I've sunk about 500 hours with this game now, never uploaded footage of it, though. This is my first time doing that, but it took me 2 hours to figure out how to build an engine, and about half an hour of that was me remembering that in order to build an engine, you need fuel. And what you're seeing right now is this ship is now disintegrating because, I don't know, either it's too damaged or its AI got popped. But building ships and craft and blowing other craft up with them is pretty much the main point of the game. It's not the only thing. Like, you could set up races with it. You can set up, I don't know, you can set up custom campaigns. There's little missions to do. There's a lot in this game and there's a lot planned. This is one of my little designs, kind of cobbled together from a faction ship. I call it the Goanna. Pretty much all my ships are reptile themed. And yeah, this is a decent ship. It's not amazing. Like, there are ships that will tear this to pieces in no time flat, but every block here was placed pretty much individually. Like, I kind of scavenged a design to make this, so not every single block was made by me, but I don't know, the principle's there, and there are about 3,000 blocks in this thing alone, and ships can get a lot bigger than this, and I will in fact show you a ship that is a lot bigger than this. Yeah, there's lots of difficulties. This game is difficult. Did I mention that? Even once you've got the hang of the basics, it's pretty tough actually. So, you've just seen the Goanna like tear an easy design to bits. I'll show you what happens when you put it up against a godly class design. See that little lag there, that lag spike? That was the crossbones spawning in. Where is it? There it is. Go over here. So this is, when I first played this game, I just was really drawn by the ability to make stuff like this. This is a straight up battleship. And the amazing thing about this game is that pretty much every single craft in it was made by somebody. Not the developers necessarily either. This is a community-based game, and its community is fantastic. There's so many utterly crazy people who are making just amazing looking designs. So this thing's partially in the water, but you can't see everything, but it is gorgeous. And there's interiors, little command center here. My ships tend not to have this because I kind of suck. And I tend not to bother with aesthetics at all, really, apart from a paint job. There's little stairs in here, there's little doors, little rooms and such. Through here, this is slightly flooded, no worries. You can go all the way down in here. Here's ammunition compartment. Yeah, highly explosive, by the way, hence the TNT label. Backwards? I never noticed that. Hang on. Never noticed it was a backward end. So anyway, so this game is... here are the guns. This is what gun components look like in this game. Or very least for the gun type known as cram cannons. This game is nuts. Like, let's see if I can show you the engine room. Here's the AI. Here's how the game tends to have lean towards AI-controlled ships. So if you configure this right, your ship, you can basically just let your ship get on with it and fight battles for you, and you barely need to control them at all. That is occasionally kind of stupid, though. So you want to test your designs a lot. Anyway, these are engines. You can see individual components, everyone set and placed, and fuel tanks. It's a game with incredible depth. Like, it's got a very fitting name from the depths, because there's like depth like no other. And now you will see how this ship here just tears my poor ship to pieces. Hopefully the recording didn't get interrupted there. Yeah, big guns right there. Of course, my ship has big guns too, but I think the Crossbones has bigger guns. Yes. Yep. And see, the Goanna's not doing so well. Admittedly, it is a much smaller ship, but this is pretty much the game. You build ships, you hope like hell they work, and if they don't work, well, it's back to the drawing board. Incidentally, what I'm in right now is the vehicle designer. This is the sandbox mode where you just mess about. And it's pretty good. Most of my time in this game has been in here. Like, I've spent like 10 hours playing the campaign and about 490 hours in this. And the Goanna's out. I was about to say it's doing much better, but it really isn't. Cram cannons. So yeah, I was meant to be getting to why you should play this. It's just, I got interested in boats thanks to this game. Like, I didn't really care much, or wasn't really interested in like how boats worked and stuff like that, or how, well, anything works. I'm not a really tech-interested type person for the most part. Jeez, those guns are loud, I forgot about that. But this game, suddenly I was looking up old warships and steamers and aircraft and like, whoo, thinking, that's really interesting. It works. So, anyone watching this, if you have a kid who's like, or if you know a kid who you want to grow up to be an engineer, get them this game. Seriously. They will love it. They will, if not become an engineer, they might be put off completely by the complexity. But that's kind of why I'm making this video, is because this game is scary. You look at it and you look at the whole... I'll show you what I mean right now. This is the build menu. This is where you build absolutely everything, and if you don't know what you're doing, this is like, what on earth is going on here? Like, there's like the structural blocks, there's the stuff to do with water, there's guides blinking red, so you know that you have to read them. There's air. Oh, don't talk to me about airplanes. I hate airplanes. I've yet to build... Well, no, I have built an aircraft that I'm happy with. As soon as the Crossbones is finished annihilating the Goanna, I'll spawn it in. In fact, no, I'll spawn it in right now, after showing you those. And there's stuff like this, the proportional integral derivative controller. It's just... this is all very scary stuff. The lure box and all that. Don't get put off by this when you get this game. Like, I am kind of brown-nosing this game a little bit, but that's because it is a fantastic game if you stick with it. It's the main thing. You really just... you need to just grit your teeth and keep going. Like, 2 hours to figure out how to build an engine. And like, if I'm kind of dumb with games like this, so if I can do it, so can you. Really. There's the fuel thing, and yeah, the developers are fully aware about how ridiculously complicated and hard this game is, which is why they have prefabrications for various designs. These are engines. So these are fully functional engines that you can just slap down when you're first starting the game, and just you can go away with, you can start there. So the game is actually more beginner friendly than ever, and hopefully it'll get more so later. And there's steam engines if the regular fuel engines don't do it for you. And there's MISC, repair stuff, heart stones, vehicle spawners, teleport paths for spawning vehicles. Simple weapons are pretty much the only simple thing in the game, except for the fact that it's not simple at all. You still need to muck around with the auto cannons, large cannons, small cannons in order to get something that actually works well. But you can persevere and you can make it happen. I'll show you. Actually, I will spawn in a marauder, because marauders use simple guns. And where is he? I don't see it. There she is. Always refer to ships as a she. That's how it goes. See here, all these little guns? Like, they are actually quite complicated to place, but they're simple. They're simple to place. You don't need to tinker with them much, except to screw with the accuracy. And, well, you have a whole line of guns here. You have a big... That's not the front of the ship. That is the back of it. That is the stern. Paddles to drive it forward. And you have this massive gun in here. Like, if you like building big stuff, this game is certainly for you, because this gun in the front here is a 2,000mm cannon. So, that hole there is 2 meters across in diameter. Like, in the game itself. Which is completely ridiculous. Like, the largest functional gun in real life, I think, was German railway artillery. It was like the kind of artillery pieces that had to be mounted on a train in order to move it around. And that was, I think, roughly 1 meter in diameter. It was ridiculous. It took an hour to load. This is much quicker. Like, I think the gun on this ship, the Marauder, has about a... I don't know, about a 20-second reload time or something. It's pretty slow. But this is a game where you can build a 500mm gun and have it fire 10,000 rounds a minute, if you're willing to go completely overboard. But yeah, this is a game where you can do anything. Anything at all. And as you can see, the Goanna is not doing very well. Hopelessly outmatched. But that's fine, because I have bigger ships. I will in fact spawn one of them in. Just because. These are all my designs here. It's quite neat. You have everything in folders. I have a massive prototypes folder. Like, all these things are ships which kind of never made it to final stages. So, I tend to find that ships that I make, I design them the same way you design things in real life. You have a prototype, and you work on it, and you test it, and all that stuff, and it's just really satisfying to finally end up with a design that works, because most of them don't. And you have to bear that in mind when playing this, is that your first design will suck. It's a bit like an RPG, in that sense. Like, your first design, your first character in an RPG is never optimized. They'll never be absolutely good, because you're still trying to figure out what the hell you're doing. Same with this, like, I have a retired craft folder for that very thing. These are all ships, and aircraft as well. Like I said, I suck at building aircraft, I'm really terrible. 500 hours and I can't build a decent plane. And this was the first ship that I was reasonably happy with, except not really, because it is crap. It is not a good ship. It looks cool, but yeah, it is not an effective ship. It's just any ship that just has one big turret, one big weapon, is not very good. It's not very good at all. And as you can see, the crossbones is going to make mincemeat of this little thing, the Python, as I called it. It does look damn good, and it's where the whole trend kind of started with the, oh god, here comes that Marauder shell. It missed. Yay. Actually, but I'll show you just how insanely big these shells are. That's like... The community calls these things minibuses. And... because that's what it is. It's like... It's about 2 meters across. So, and about 3 to 4 meters long. So, yeah, that's a van. That is a steel van filled, crammed with explosives. And as you can see, major failing of the Python being shown. Once the turret gets hit, it's not very good. Although it is shooting, which is nice. And it has got lots of torpedoes, so I guess... So anyways, this is my... You learn as you go through. Because the ships I've built since then, I built this thing months ago, and I was never really happy with it. Like, I'll show... Every time you save a ship, it has a different version number. The Python's on version 108. It is like, I have done so much to it to try and make it good. And I failed. It's not good. But I had fun. And so can you. And just, the great thing about playing this game is that it's like subscribing to a newsletter that's really cool as well, because the game is continuously being updated. Like, it's still in alpha. Like, I'm not sure if you can see here, but this is version 2.02 alpha build, and it's still... I've gotten my money's worth out of this game, like, more than a whole lot of, like, full-priced, fully finished games. So, it is quite astonishing to me that this game has just got so much stuff in it. And I'm rambling a little bit, so... I guess I should mention the kind of pitfalls. Like, when you're first playing this. When you're first playing this game, you want to kind of start, not small, not large, but medium-sized. So, I will load in another ship. Actually, I will destroy all vehicles, because otherwise, like, this game's performance has gotten a lot better, but, it still tanks a little bit. So, where is it? Where is it? Here's a ship I'm very happy with, because it's cheap and nasty. This is the Skink. It's just a little wooden missile boat, and I'm very, very fond of this thing, because it's cheap, it's simple, it's like, it's just a very cheap, simple little craft, got little radars, big missiles. These missiles are 7 meters long, and 1 meter across. In real life, these are like cruise missiles. But in this game, these are like little anti-aircraft missiles. They get a lot bigger than that. Little aesthetic spikes on it, propellers in the back, lots of rudders, little sonar, like little hydrofoils on it to keep it balanced in the water. Just, I like this ship a lot, and also like how surprisingly tough it is, because armor is a fine science in this game. Like, it's more advantageous to put armor in layers, like 2 layers of wood with an air gap between them is not quite as effective as 2 layers of wood that are stacked together, so to speak. The armor of the lower layer will contribute to the armor of the top layer, which is really cool. And I will spawn something else for this thing to shoot at. We'll spawn in the Jacob's Delight again. I like the Jacob's Delight. It's got a lot of fluff. So you'll see that not every ship here has a description. Although, most of the Deepwater Guard ships do, actually. Like the Red Tuna, no description here. So, they're still working on that. I might actually go on the forums at some point and offer some nice fluff. But, in any case, there's the Skink. Away she goes. And the Jacob's Delight is 2,000 meters away. So in general, this game is more suited to ships fighting each other up close. Because, like, in real life, missiles, like, you don't fire missiles like this at 2 kilometers away. You fire them like, I believe a medium-ranged anti-aircraft missile is around 80 kilometers. And a long-range one is 160. And this one, these can't even reach like 2 kilometers fully. So yeah, I love the Deepwater Guard designs because they're just kind of lots of wood, and wood looks gorgeous in this game. I'm pulling up this menu because here you can see the health of the ships. Skink is actually doing really well. Missiles are really good in this game. Really good. See, the Jacob's Delight is not doing so well, but it's, as you can see, it's not expert, what the hell? It's an easy design. So it's like deliberately not that good. So if you are new to this game, you can play through the whole campaign and just setting it to easy, I think, because easy is relative. Like, for instance, if I spawn in an easy thing with the Scarlet Dawn, I've never seen the transient before. Where is it? Ah, here it is. Yeah, this is an easy design for the endgame faction. And as you can see, it is a levitating hovercraft thing. Oof, that laser. It actually has a cram cannon, and it has a crap ton of missiles. So yeah, it's really sci-fi, like different people, like this game is something for everyone. Like there's a whole campaign which is based on World War II. There's a whole campaign designed around using land, so tanks and land vehicles instead of ships. And it's just like, and if you like sci-fi stuff, this game is for you, for sure, because, well, look at this thing. Look at it, it's amazing. These, like, people, and it's really awesome how the community uses blocks aesthetically, because what these are laser transceivers. These are how you kind of deliver laser energy around the ship to power either laser anti-missile systems or just laser weaponry. They've created, like, a little force field, like, holding cargo in place, which is just really, really rad. You can tell someone put a lot of love into this design here. And this is just one ship. They only get bigger and better. And as you can see, like, the Jacob's Delight is getting absolutely destroyed. So as I say, difficulty is relative, and it also depends on how you build. Because you play this game your own way. You play it how you want to build. Like, my ships, I like my ships to be fast and tanky and with minimal energy shields. And that's actually not a smart way to play the game, because this game is biased towards, like, ships which are fast with lots of firepower and very little defense, which is exemplified by this design right here. This is, whoops, not that one. This one. This is one of the most famous ships in the game. It's the paddle gunner. And see if I can get over to it. And you'll see, camera's slow, begging your pardon. And you will see here that this thing is essentially one giant turret in the front and lots of stuff underneath. It's got torpedoes, it's got, I believe it has missiles in the back. It's just, this thing is all about the attack, and it is brutal as hell, as you will see in a second, because I believe the Transient's aiming for it now. And see, look at that. This is what this game is actually about. It is firepower, lots of firepower, and firepower versus firepower. And you can see that laser is just tearing through. And you will see soon if the... actually a bit of friendly fire looks there. And the Skink, no one is aiming for the Skink. At all. It's so nice, awesome just to watch ships just fight each other like this. And by the looks of it, I actually didn't know, and you also learn continuously with this. Like, if you can pause the game and look at the shells, and you can see these are fragmentation shells, it looks like. Yeah, I think these are frag shells. Yep. So fragmentation shells, as you can probably see by the absolute carnage that's going on here. Ooh, little light block right there. Like, frag shells are overpowered, and that's one of the flaws with this game, is that there's certain things which are just way more powerful than anything else. Like, fragmentation missiles and fragmentation advanced cannon shots. Like, I'll show you what an advanced cannon looks like. This is what the paddle gun's primarily armed with. It's these guns here. Much more complicated than the crams. Frags are just overpowered just because of the way damage is calculated. The lowest amount of damage possible for a projectile is 1, and each one of these shells could have like is at most 60 fragments. And each fragment actually does a lot of damage, so even if the armor of the target reduces like all possible damage down to 1, each individual fragment will still do 1 damage. So a properly set up frag shell always does like at least 60 damage, whereas other forms of weapons will actually just do 1. Sorry, that's a little bit complicated. This game is complicated and full of stuff like that, but you can see that like this is an endgame craft, and it is getting kind of shredded by the paddle gunner right here. Yeah, just it's not pretty. And that's another thing, is like, I have come up with a term, which I've just come up with myself, really. It's a phrase I called BFG. Oh, and the floor of the paddle gunner, I think, noticeable here. It looks like the main gun has gone up. Yep, this thing is brittle. This thing's very brittle. Once a shot lands on that main turret, the whole thing goes up like a candle. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so I kind of hate frag guns in this game simply because they're so much better than anything else. And I've come up with a term for them. Any ship that kind of uses them instead of other kinds of weapons, I say, is armed with BFGs. And that doesn't mean big flippin' gun, that means bullshit frag gun. And this is a really cool idea. And another thing, there's still performance issues to work out, and there's still things like, mostly I think the devs are going to try and make this game accessible, which is why if you get in now, you're going to have a much better time when this game is actually finished, because it'll be accessible, it'll be for you, the player. Just lasers are so pretty. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. So yeah, that's probably a very rambling description of From the Depths. I haven't even showed how the building works. Like, there's 2 ways to do it. You can use keyboard or you could use mouse. I recommend keyboard. It's much quicker. Just, you can build anything. Your imagination is honestly the limit. Also, your knowledge of how the game works is also the limit. Like, I'm curious about these little missiles now, because these are tiny, teensy, cute little missiles. See, these are tiny. These little 1 warhead missiles, and just the spammy missiles. It's utterly fantastic. So yeah, in other words, you should play this game because I was willing to spend half an hour rambling about how bloody amazing it is, even when I'm not actually that good at it. So yeah, I'm gonna leave you with the pretty lights, and thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I will see you next time in whatever game comes next. I think I'll make more videos like this. I'll just ramble on about games which I think are cool. Farewell!